Hello, everyone, and welcome to the day in the life of a speedrunner. My name is Psyche. I will be your host for today. I know nothing about speedrunning, so I am here to learn with all of you. I'm going to hand over to our panelists. We have Bisalina, Joker Streamer OK, Koyo Chris, Leo's Mine, and Acteto. And they are going to talk to you about what the day in the life of a speedrunner is like. So, everybody, we're going to go through the introductions, and then we are going to talk about a day in the life of the speedrunner. We're going to also go into each of the individual people's specializations, and I will say that this is not just about speedrunning. It's also about a lot of different topics that are involved in speedrunning and challenge running, so we will be covering a lot of different things today, time permitting. We will also talk a little bit about discovering speedrunning, the speedrunning community, games and favorite moments, and also the future of speedrunning and advice for getting started if that's something that you're interested in. And then we will have some time at the end for audience Q&A if you have any questions. All right, so can we get some introductions from all of you?
Absolutely. So, hi, I'm Bisalina. I'm a speedrunner. Shocking, I know. I'm in my free time run a lot of games, especially Nintendo games, since like 2014. And currently, I'm more into the event operation side of things and like to host a lot of charity events because charity is cool. Am I right?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, great. Charity is beautiful. And now you.
I'm Joker Streamer OK. I'm a German full-time streamer. I'm doing a lot of Super Mario World Kaiser ROM hacks and some retro and variety as well.
Yeah, I'm Koyo Chris. I do most of the time NES and classic retro speedruns. My main game is Wizard and Warriors 3. Nobody knows that, but it's okay. And yeah. Most of the time I do much with the community, and I organize community events in speedrunning, but more of that later.
Yeah, hi. I'm Leo. I am a speedrunner, but mostly I'm a challenge runner. I'm a content creator for 5 years now, which is, wait, it's so much. And yeah, that's it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm Tito. I'm from Germany. And sitting here starting 2017, playing Link to the Past, and somehow I got invited to join this panel here today and talk a little bit about speedrunning. So I'm interested in trying this out, and I have great people here, and this is going to be a nice little introduction of speedrunning.
Great. Thank you, everybody. So, all of you come from different backgrounds with different hobbies and interests, both inside and outside of speedrunning. So can you share a little bit about what a day in the life of a speedrunner is like for you? And we'll start with Bisalina.
Okay, so usually when I'm like not speedrunning or doing hosting work, I do presenting. Because today I brought a topic with me, and the topic is presenting, like the thing I do right now as I speak. Sometimes you call it speaking. In Germany, if you talk about the word casting, they only know about recruiting for some low-budget casting shows. Having to judge somebody based on how they sing, that's usually what you understand in Germany about the word caster. Like, speaking itself is an art form that not many people indulge in. Some rather move their hands around like they would carry a baby or watermelon, but like statistically about 75% of adults are like really stressed and fearful of having to talk in front of a large audience or also just their workplace environment. Also, a lot of streamers are usually very shy. They like, have to speak in front of an unmoderated chat for the first time, or real people. But most anxiety comes usually from the issue that you like need to start somewhere. So the first moment where you actually like have a microphone in front of you is like you will always think about 90% of the times that you are really, really unprepared. And you are like stressed in the first 3 to 5 minutes, but after that you will basically be great to go. Like presenting is like one of these things like management, where you like never see the effort that goes into it. I mean, in the end, you like just visit a event or a presentation called A Day in the Life of a Speedrunner and can be rest assured that everything goes smoothly and You haven't seen all the stress that like all the people went through the last 8 months or 2 years, or depending on which event it is.
Okay.
Presenting is nice. I
Yeah.
like it.
And here you are. And then Joker.
I came into the Kaizo community in the beginning of 2019. There was a GDQ event, and I was seeing Invictus showing there. And I was super fascinated about it because I knew about the Kaizo scene. Like I knew about the Kaizo 1 and Kaizo 1 to 3 trilogy. And I played them with save states before, like in 2011. So I knew there was like this scene existing. So basically, after the event, I was searching up in the Super Mario World category and found some streamers. And I was watching them, like how they played the game. And some months later, I informed myself, like I talked with the streamers, and like how can I start with Kaizo? And they told me to play the Quickie Worlds. So I started with Quickie World 1, and I beat it. But I played it casually, I didn't stream it yet. So Quickie World 2 was actually my first hack, which I was streaming on Twitch. I wanted to try something new, like people told me to stream, gave me a recommendation, and I started it. And then the first people came in, giving me advices and tips, like what you can do better and what you can play next, so you can reach the goal up to Invictus. So when it was about time, I was starting Invictus, and yeah, I was really, really excited because I didn't know if I was ready yet. It took me long to beat the first level, but I did it at the end. And actually, I also beat the whole hack. I was fearing if I could do it, but I managed to do it. So, yeah, I was like really like proud about it. So since then, I already played like over 250 Kaizo hacks and beat them. And I found for myself now a new game, a new passion to do, because like every Kaizo hack is like super different. Like everything is, the tricks are different, the style is different, and yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. As I already told, I play Wizard and Warriors 3, which is a very unknown game, but yeah, I started speedrunning in the late 2000s, I think 2008 or 9. Yeah, but I didn't know that I was speedrunning in this moment because this form of game the name was new to me. I just wanted to try to get better at the game and try to beat my own time. I didn't know that there was a community or anything around that. And at I think 2014, I watched GDQ as well and saw that there are more games and more people sharing the same passion for obviously speedrunning. And so I joined the speedrunning community by just doing what I already did. And yeah, that's a great community. So we share, but I can speak for Wizard and Warriors, but we share our new glitches, new strats, and nobody's holding back their new techniques, their new glitches, and it's a nice working together. So it's one of the most friendliest communities I've ever participated in. So awesome. Yeah, speedrunning, even not knowing that speedrunning changed my life so far.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Thank you so much. And Leo?
Yeah, as you can see, pretty big.
It's a great screenshot.
I'm the one with the thumbnail. I love Pokemon over everything. I started playing when I was 6 years old. I started playing N64. It came out back in 1996, I think. Oh my God. And I started playing Mario 64, and to this day I'm still playing Mario 64 almost like weekly. And if you're playing games like this and you love them so much, then you can't just play them the same every time. So I started looking into speedrunning and trying to be faster, and got fascinated with the glitches and just going fast. And especially Pokemon is such a passion. Like, this is one of my beauties I caught recently. It's a shiny Ho-Oh from Gen 2. And it's a challenge itself, like, to have this kind of patience and wait for it and grind it out and grind it until you someday get what you are looking for. And nowadays I do mostly Pokemon content and do some challenges in that, but I also do some speedruns, like I did some speedruns in Mario 64 or also in Mario Party. And also what I find funny to do speedruns in games that are not meant to be fast. Like I did speedruns in Pokemon Snap 1 and 2, where you think wow, you're just on a rail and you can't really move fast. But there are so many techniques and different glitches that it always gets so interesting and funny to do. And yeah, recently I started speedrunning Tears of the Kingdom, if anybody played it. Nice. It's a pain. It's so hard. It's so hard. The glitches are so hard. But someday I'm gonna, yeah.
Cool, thank you. And if I can click through, there we go.
Yeah, before I go through the picture, at least I started 2017, as I said earlier, and at this point, I mean, we are all gamers, or most of the people here are playing games, and I never thought about playing one game more than once. Everyone watching speedruns and be like, oh, people are doing great tricks, and do you want to join them? Do you want to practice something really hard? I wasn't really sure, but after watching on Twitch, hey, here, this is a recommendation. Maybe watch this Link to the Past randomizer. It's a race. At first, I was like, oh, I know this game. I played it in my childhood. It's 30 years ago. And after watching this, I realized, oh, this isn't just a speed run. It's there's some trick behind it. It's not learn every trick, play through the game as fast as possible, but you have to think about it. You need to improve a little bit and go through the game. So I started playing it, I joined the community, and I started streaming. It was yeah, why aren't you streaming? You're playing the game, start the stream, and year by year the community just grew out even more. And nowadays I am hosting in the Link to the Past community for the German community the tournament since 2020, and we started with 64 people. And this year we just reached about 96. So this is just a screenshot about our tournaments we are doing in the community. This is just for the German. We have a French community, which is really big as well. And of course, the international community with over 300 people in the last main tournament. So this is a lot of work in the background, but it's fun giving and taking from the community and helping out of this. So I'm doing this in my free time, except by streaming, and I'm enjoying streaming as a hobby as well. So it's perfect. I have got free time. I can help the community. I can help myself with streaming. It's a nice private thing I enjoy and share with people. And yeah, this got me into the streaming scene, and I'm doing this, I hope, more or less well. So I'm sitting here today.
He's one of the best, by the way.
You're a liar.
He's being
Second best.
Second.
Fantastic. You
Yeah,
second best.
Yeah, I'm second best.
Second best.
Twice in a row, so I'm forever second.
Well, thank you all very much for sharing. You've all kind of touched on the areas of speedrunning that you specialize in a little bit, but I'd like to go into more detail about that, if that's okay with you. So we're going to start with Bisalina, who's going to talk about general speedrunning and some other things around speedrunning as a topic.
Okay, yeah, but before I talk about that, I just want to say that the face that Pixel Viet makes up left is really funny, and I just love how utterly shattered he looks. It's beautiful. I will now talk about speedrunning in general. So for a few people that are here who have been wondering what speedrunning is, or you need a small crash course for it, I have a great explanation for you. A speedrun is the art form of playing a game as fast as possible, mostly without usage of external hardware or cheating modules. Speedrunning nowadays has a very predefined set of rules which may vary, but which may vary from community to community and game to game. When games have a different defined rule set, mostly it's just about either getting, like in Super Mario 64, getting 0 stars, 1 star, 16 stars, 70 stars, and all of these ones are like very, very different. It's mostly what you call a category in a speedrun. The term speedrun itself was first used in 1994 with the Quake community, because Quake was like one of the first PC games that offered in-game recording, and because Wi-Fi and PC storage and basically everything that was revolving around personal computers was like very bad. You just had to like, well, you had to manage, I'd say.
I am a former Quake 3 competitive player, so that actually checks out.
Nice. But because forums were like last used when, I don't know, like, when was the last forum used?
Which one?
Any forum, like, when was the last one you used? Like, I think on my end it was 2.7 or 2.8.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think so too. Like currently, speedruns have like a very large site that is used to host links to all of these speedruns called speedrun.com, where you can like find every single verified run and have a nice package with the time, the category, where it was played on, and have the entire video up and ready. You would think that speedruns mostly revolve around platformers, but, we currently most run speed game is the app Subway Surfer, so unfortunately you never know what to get when you look for a speedrun. Just speedruns have a very, very large history. And maybe in all of these years there were a lot of subcategories and other ways of speedrunning that were discovered, and now are maybe even more important than the actual speedrunning itself, and maybe we will talk about that now, and it's just a segue. You can start talking.
Great. So I know you already spoke a little bit about Kaizo, but if you want to go into a little more detail, that would be great.
Yes. Before I start talking about speedrunning, though, I want to explain what actually Kaizo is for people who don't know. For me, Kaizo is a specific style of level design. So if you compare it to like the vanilla Super Mario world, for example, you have like the enemies like spawning, walking on the ground. There's sometimes a pit here and there where you can fall through. You get your power-ups. And if you lose your mushroom, for example, you don't lose on the level. Like you have still the small Mario going on. And that's what's different in Kaizo. So everything you get in Kaizo, you have to use. So if you get a Koopa, you have to bounce on the Koopa and get to the next obstacle. So if you get a mushroom, you have to keep the mushroom until the point where the creator wants you to lose it. So everything has a use in the Kaizo hacks. So, but unlike in other speedruns in Kaizo, it's more like about not dying in the speedrun. It sounds easier than it is because like there's super hard Kaizo hacks. Yeah, and of course there's also easier ones, but they are more optimized. So there's 3 different difficulties. There's beginner, intermediate, and expert. Beginner is more optimized because like more people can run it, of course, right? So there's more strats. You are allowed to die less, and expert is more like of course you don't want to die there too, but it's hard to not die there because they are super hard, and you mostly get away with a death here and there, but yeah, you still don't want to get into a death spiral. Because once you, like the infamous death spiral begins if you once get an obstacle like you do it every time the same, but in this time it just didn't work, and then you just struggle with like getting to the point to get through that obstacle. And for me, it's like, yeah, the easier the Kaizo hack is, the more optimized it is.
Makes sense. Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right.
So as you see, and nobody knows the game, but I already told you, you see there a really new glitch. I do most of the time glitch hunting because our community for the game is really, really small. So only a few people just run the game. I think we are about 7 or 8.
Wow.
People running the game, Wizard and Warrior. So feel free to start. It's very easy at the beginning. And
recruiting people for it?
yeah, maybe. So the world record is possible, even though it's held by I Love Mario, which is a very famous speedrunner, and it's very hard to get. But this is a very new glitch we recently found last year in the community and just shared. So with this new glitch, we save about 2 minutes, which is an insane amount of time in a 20-minute speedrun. Or
wow.
Now it is the world record is 17 minutes, I guess. Yeah, so we are on glitch hunting, which means to skip large parts of the game, mostly in any percent speedruns, which means we don't have to play the whole game, just the necessary to reach the end. So in this game you have to join guilds, get new roles, get new abilities. It's more or less open world, Metroidvania game with RPG elements. But you can skip all this guild stuff, just do 3 guilds and go to the end and defeat the big evil king at the end, but not even kill him, but do some memory tricky stuff, to be very simple with that. You can trick the memory of the game and the king just explodes.
Nice.
What every king does, duh. Yeah, so we found several glitches in the past few months, and we all, as I already told, we share them in the community, so everybody can see which technique lies behind that glitch, and maybe we can use that technique at another point of the game to even save more time, even in other categories, except glitchless, of course. Yeah. And we launched a community event last year with 2 German-speaking speedrunning communities. They are called Germansch, which is the official restream of GDQ in Germany, and 321 Zack, which is another speedrunning community in Germany. And I gave them a blind game, and they had 8 hours to at least finish 1 run. And the combined play time of their runs will declare the winner with the shortest time. And yeah, this year we maybe I heard there will be another event, but more to that later.
Great. All right.
Yeah, I do challenge runs, and well, I will talk about this in a moment. But yeah, what are challenge runs? If it's not obvious, you don't play the game casually, you try to play the game with a challenge, and it can be anything. And you can come up with anything, some funny things, some creative things, some hard things like no-hit runs. But the best way to explain it is by some examples, I would say. And yeah, that's one example I did. I played Breath of the Wild with a guitar. And maybe you now think, like I thought, it's not that hard, because you have a controller, you have a guitar, and if you get used to it, you just play the game with the guitar. But the guitar doesn't have as many buttons as a Pro controller. And if you know Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, then you know that game uses every single button. So I had to get rid of some buttons, and the best one to get rid of is the camera control.
Oh.
So that's the first one you maybe don't need. So it started with, how do I play Breath of the Wild with the guitar? And it became, how do I play the game without using the camera? And if you played the game, you maybe know in the end you have to defeat like 5 bosses in a row, and you have to shoot them in the face with a bow, and you have to aim up. And that wasn't possible for me, so I had to come up with creative solutions to defeat all 5 bosses in a row. And it took me like, I think, a week of everyday streaming, and I had to come up with some creative stuff. And that's, I think, the best way to describe challenge running. You come up with a creative challenge, you get inspired by other challenge, combine it with your stuff, do some thinking, and then you have to come up with a creative solution to get the challenge done. And I can name some other, if I have some more time, I can name some other things I did, which would be quite interesting maybe. I did also Breath of the Wild because it's just such a huge open game. I played Breath of the Wild with only 1 stick. So I collected a stick in the beginning, and if the stick broke or I lost the stick, which happened 3 times, I have to restart the whole game again. And the last boss takes around 5 hours. So only Ganon, not the blights before that, only Ganon takes around 5 hours just beating it with a stick. And to this day, people in my chat are still referencing the time I did that because it was so funny, and people were counting, like 1 stick is 60 hits. I can do, with some glitches, I could do 60 hits with 1 stick. And I have to back up and do some glitches, some crazy menu overloading, and basically revive or reload the stick, and then punching again. So my chat was like counting with me. 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 hit, 5 hit, for 5 hours.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's hard. One last thing I want to mention, because it's a big, big community, is the no-hit runners. You maybe know no-hit running from Dark Souls, of course, or Demon Souls, or Elden Ring. But you can do no-hit runs in any game where you can get hit at. Like I did no-hit runs in Mario 64, in Breath of the Wild, and I tried no-hit running Ocarina of Time. That's one goal I have. I will someday get it. I'm down to 7 hits. The run goes 8 hours. So it's pretty hard. You may think, oh, Ocarina of Time, it's an old game, you can't move that fast, not many enemies in comparison to Dark Souls. But try it out. It's quite hard, and someday I will get it.
I have one question.
Yes.
Who is that suspicious-looking girl, I guess, in the background?
What? Do you mean Ganon?
Behind your shoulder.
The skull head.
That's just a sugar skull, like Katrina from...
Yeah. You
I
noticed that.
That's just a skateboard.
Okay, it's a skateboard.
A lot of people think it's Michael Jackson, but it's a skateboard.
Maybe you're haunted. I don't know.
That's kind of sus, I'm not going to lie.
All right. And Tato.
Yeah, I'm here for the Link to the Past randomizer, or the randomizer community in particular. Randomizing is a fun game, or a fun way to play through a game. I mean, we take a game like Link to the Past, Legend of Zelda. It's a really great example for this. Like Ocarina of Time really has a big community as well. And we have the game, the same goal as normally, like defeat the game, finish it. But instead of like a speedrun, it's like we have to find the items necessary to beat the game. The items aren't in the places like where they normally lie. So in Legend of Zelda, in the first dungeon, you get the bow to finish the boss off. But in the randomizer, it's like the bow can be anywhere. You find it in some time to just finish the game, but you don't know if it's an early game stage, in a later game stage, or whenever it is. So the classic is an item randomizer. Take a game, randomize the items. It's still logically beatable, but where the items may lie, this is up to you. So you have to improve, like this panel right now, how to beat this or how to go through this and finish up the game. There are many ways to randomize the game. The most basic is the item randomizer. There are many ways, like the keys, like in particular Link to the Past, which I will refer to for the next moments. The keys for the dungeon might be in the dungeon as well, but they can be anywhere. So you have to keep track of this. So in the example here, we have the game. It's a ROM hack, so we can change even the sprite or little other things. And we keep track for this. Like, how many bosses did I already beat? What is my goal? What should I even do in this game? And normally in Link to the Past, you have to get 7 crystals out of 10 dungeons, which you need to beat the last final boss. But it changed all the time. It's like not every time the same. And we keep track of those items. We can track those. It's a nice thing, like the item tracker and the map tracker below that. You can see, oh, this has more options. I can go to those spots next, which were inaccessible earlier without the necessary items to reach those spots. And this is also a great thing for as a viewer. As a viewer, you always see the stream or always the game and be like, oh, yeah, he got already those items. He's still missing key items to finish up the one. So this is the roundabout of randomization. It's a mix between speedrunning and like improve on the way through the game. As I said before, it's not always the same route you're going through the game. There are, of course, a few similarities expected in the early game, like you want to check many checks as one at first or as fast as possible, and not walking like ages just to open one chest. So, of course, you're going for the density. You try to route and optimize those checks, density, and try to find the perfect route, which you don't know in beforehand is going to be. But of course, speedrunning, it's an example like the normal speedrun to Link to the Past is about 82 minutes. 1 hour 22 is the world record currently. And in the randomizer, this varies between 1 hour and 2 hours, except for how bad the item placements are. Maybe you have to go to a dungeon just to not finish this, go to the next dungeon, to find another item, travel back for the first dungeon, finish up the boss, and back and forth, and this can take a lot of time. But especially for new people, just trying out this. There are so many people joining the stream and be like, oh, this is great, I know the game, I recognize this, and I just want to puzzle it out, like, how can I go through this? And this is really a nice aspect to just join this. Another point is this is really great for competitive play. As I mentioned earlier, there are tournaments, and this is really a great way to compete against each other, playing the same seed, the same item placement. So it's up for both, for both people, like who are you going to? Where is the lucky one? Or maybe who is the better player at the boss fights? So being good at the speedrun and how to know how to defeat bosses is a great role to finish it up quickly. But as I said before, like for the final boss, for Ganon, you can have all 4 swords and silver arrows to just bash through it, or you are unlucky and just got level 2 sword, the master sword, no silvers at all, and this fight just takes like 3 or 4 minutes and a lot of skill, in which this is up until the last seconds who will win those races and who is going through the seed or through the game better than the other players. So this is just a little insight of the randomization. There are a lot of things currently working on, just like entrance randomizer. You are going into one house and this isn't a house, it is a dungeon, and you can mix this up as well. I saw even randomizations of the overworld. The screens are just shuffled around. So like dungeons door randomizer, it's called. You are going in the dungeon, entering a door to the north, and you are just in another part of another dungeon, and this dungeon is currently like not 6 items, but like 60, 70 items. In this game, we have 216 checks, but with all currently methods of randomize even more things, I think we are going up to 1,600 checks. So this could take a while if you want to risk this or we want to play this. So you can change the difficulty, the game at your own will, and this is just a nice mix between going through speedrun challenges and just how to puzzle this and to try this out.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody, for sharing. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you discovered speedrunning. So I'd like to ask, how did you first discover speedrunning? What made you want to get started?
So when I did my first speedrun in 2014, it was of Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. I actually just looked for a Let's Play because I really didn't get further in that game, but when I just found, oh wait, the person that uploaded the video didn't even get the item that I searched for. So I thought like, what is he doing? Is he like really bad at the game, or is he like way too good to understand? And it was the second thing. Like really got me started on like binge watching most of the Games Done Quick ones, especially Metal Prime 2 had like so many great showings from Klaus, especially. They had all of the cool movement tricks and glitches. Glitches just compelled me to run the glitches category for like 2 months and get my first world record. So it was like really just a awesome moment. I just have to say it's great.
Cool.
So my first speedrun I saw on GDQ, as I told already, from Invictus, and I didn't want to I didn't want to speedrun right away, since my first goal was beating Invictus. But after beating Invictus, it was about time, like where I like kind of check how good I was, like after that hack, and so I started doing my first Quickie World 2 speedruns, and yeah, that's how I got into it.
Yeah, as I already told, I just didn't know that I was speedrunning in the first place. I just discovered a game which I played as a child, and I didn't know what was the name. My friend and I just called it the Night Game. We didn't know anything about it, and then I found it on a RetroCon, and I just saw it and knew I have to buy this, and I played it and got better and better and better and faster and faster and faster. And I tried to optimize everything out of the game at that point, which was 2008, 2009, and in the early 2010s, like 13 or something, I just learned about what is speedrunning, and then I joined the community, and it is fascinating that the community of speedrunning is so great in multiple reasons. We are so many, and they are so friendly and welcoming, like no other community I've experienced so far. So I felt welcome, even that I didn't know I was speedrunning, and I made a lot of new friends, and we went the road together.
Nice.
I honestly discovered it through Twitch. Like I always watched those compilations of speedrun fails and oh my god. But I always thought, okay. But then I started watching Twitch, and I watched those entertaining and funny people, not for the game, but for the entertainment they gave me. But then after watching them day after day, I started noticing the game, and I started loving the game, and I saw the passion that those people had for the game, so I started to get the same passion without even playing the game. So then that was for me for like Mario 64. And then I think Mario 64 is one of the best games to get into speedrunning, because it's pretty easy in the beginning compared to other things like Ocarina of Time, which is hard in the beginning. Mario 64 is easy to get into, but of course really hard to master. So I recommend to you all, if you want to dibble down in some speedrunning, then maybe try Mario 64. And yeah, so then I just tried it, watched some videos, and did some glitches, and then I started Mario 64 and played it. Yeah.
Cool. And Tato?
Yeah, I just saw a lot of streams, like people speedrunning through games you know, games get broken on screen, and it's always fascinating. But I don't see myself as a speedrunner as many other people maybe do it themselves, as I don't like to practice a lot of those rooms, a lot of those tricks, and over again just to maximize or just to minimize my time. So I just get it started, as I said earlier, like I just tried the randomizer, and it fascinated me, as it's not like you have to practice all over the same strategies. So I stumbled across being a speedrunner, I think, but this is like, yeah, it's a big variety of streaming, of speedrunning, so there isn't just, this is a speedrun and you have to do this that way. There are many ways you can speedrun, so I'm glad I joined this community.
Great. So I am very conscious of the fact that we are running quite short on time, and I know we're going to be doing an audience Q&A very soon, so I want to make sure that we cover some of the topics that we've all discussed that the panelists really want to talk about. So one of the things, if I can find the slide, well, we'll start with this one. Can you share your experiences with being a part of the speedrunner community? It's something that Koyo Chris has already touched on a little bit. How does the community work together? You've all talked about how great it is and how happy you are to be a part of it. So can you just share a little bit about what that experience has been like?
Yeah, I mean, for the Link to the Past community, the game is 30 years old, and we still find glitches up to this point. I think last month we just discovered a glitch how to skip an item for a key item, a major item for a dungeon. And we currently have like 15 people building up a council, deciding on is this glitch allowed in the competitive rule set or not. And this is always a little bit of a community struggle, like what are the pros, the cons, and if those should be allowed or not. You can even do this for yourself. So it's shared, everyone can see those, and it's a really big community decision, and it's always great to see people going for new strats, going for new techniques, finding those things years after the release. And yeah, it's up then for the community to decide if this is a valid strategy or not.
I think you can see the niceness of the community in like the rule sets, because if there's something like recently in Tears of the Kingdom, if you like to speedrun it, you have to play the intro, and it takes seven minutes, and 7 minutes almost nothing. There's a little bit of skill to it, but people were like complaining and saying, "Come on, let's just skip it." And it's not like one god up there that says, "Okay, let's skip it or don't skip it." It's a community decision. So there's a vote on the Discord, and anybody can vote. And then in the end, yeah, it's just the community coming together and deciding together what's best for the community, for the speedrun, that it stays entertaining and stays doable for new runners. And I think that's one sign of like the niceness of this community. The niceness. What word?
Yeah. I can only share the same opinion. We all share our new strats, our new techniques we discovered. Even though it would be more better for me, for my world record or anything, I don't know, if I don't share it and just practice it and practice it and practice it off cam and then make a run. Maybe a world record, and then only share it. But as far as I experienced the speedrunning community, we just share it right away, and we work with like it's a TAS, it's a tool assistant speedrun, which is more or less an optimized way to have the perfect inputs, frame perfect, to optimize the out of a game, and there you can see new strats and have some, even or especially the memory techniques, which means that you manipulate the memory of the game to get certain results, like exploding king at the end. You can train this with people working together in a group and not have an advantage for yourself. That's what's fascinating to me.
So the thing is about Kaizo, there's people also finding strats, like you always try to also find some strats while playing over and over the same hack, and the community is like super wholesome and trying to help you with that. Like they always give you like tips in the chat too, like when you were playing the hack, like can you do this and can you do this, can you grab the shell on the ground while the Koopa is up, and all the stuff. So basically the whole community, not only the speedrunners, also the chat tries to help you out, and that's what I really like about
sometimes
it.
Too much.
It's okay. The chat is always nice, never tries to troll you.
Never. That would never happen.
No. Chat's always correct. Yeah.
But please, no hints or spoilers for the randomizer race.
So yeah, I think after my last TwitchCon panel, I may be a broken record about this, but it's like unbelievable how much charity events, especially Game Instant Quick, did for the community of speedrunning. Like speedrunning, like 10 years ago, was like way smaller than it is today. And just the fact that you had this charity marathon where people showed off their games for the first time, and you also did it live for a week, so that everybody, doesn't matter when you work or stuff, could just get in and watch all this amazing ones. Just help the speedrunning scene to get mainstream just so quickly. Like YouTube helped getting the challenge running scene like out of its baby shoes. So it's like I just want to say, yeah, thanks to Games Not Quick. They are like amazing in what they do.
Great. So we don't have a lot of time left, and I like to make sure that we have some time for some Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to move to one of the microphones. Before I take your question, feel free to go. If you could share with me like a favorite moment, if you could summarize a favorite moment from speedrunning, that would be amazing.
Me. I have one favorite moment. Maybe you all know it because it's pretty famous. I really like one speedrunner called Simply. He does Mario 64 speedruns. And he did a world record some years ago in Mario 64, 120 stars. And the special thing was, when he got the record, it was really emotional, of course, because he grinded for it like for years. But then, in the end, when he made it, his parents came in. And his parents were cheering and crying with him. And it's such a special moment, because we all know this feeling when maybe even parents tell us that's nothing, or you're wasting your time. And seeing a speedrunner playing a game fast, and their parents coming in and cheering with them, I recommend you watch that video like completely, but maybe even just the last 10 minutes, and you're gonna cry. It's so beautiful. Oh my God.
Yeah, I love on speedrunning that it's not over until the last second. It's like so many things can happen. In speedrunning, like records are getting failed by the last minutes, or in the races, people falling down from bridges, or missing a shot on the final boss. And it's like, yeah, this is a turnover in those points, and really great to watch, except a little bit heartbreaking.
Okay. Do any of you have something else to share?
Yeah, I remembered like yesterday when the Super Mario Odyssey 1 hour mark was broken. There were like 10 to 12 runners that basically could have gotten it any second. But then there was just this one stream at, for me, 4 a.m. where I just like had to be there, because I thought, yeah, now it will happen. And when it happened, it was like the most perfect moment ever. Like everyone, I think we chat cheered for like 2 hours, because it was like such a huge milestone. Like with 1 hour mark to just every platform amazing where it goes, where it can be done.
Okay, we have quite a lot of questions waiting. Is it okay with you all if I take some now? Yes. Awesome. What was your question, please? I'll put the question slide up as well, but you feel free to ask.
Hey, so first I just want to say I think it's hilarious that the speedrunning talk has run out of time.
You're right.
So I was wondering, when it comes to game developers and game studios, is there any one thing that you wish developers would start doing, stop doing, or change how they make games to benefit the speedrunning community and other speedrunning?
Well, I mean, the most recent example would be Nintendo, because, I mean, do the duplication glitches really hurt anybody? Did they really have to patch it out? I mean, it's like I get why they like make bug fixes for all of the story bits that can be broken. But I mean, they could do more of the Celeste approach and just let people do what they want with their own game that they bought. My opinion.
I think it's a pretty like. On the one end, the developers have to make sure that the game is not broken for casual players. And I think in the case of Tears of the Kingdom, they had to patch it because everyone could do it by just jumping. So they had to fix that. But we can see in Breath of the Wild that they didn't fix wind bombing. They didn't fix other stuff. And we don't know why. So I would wish that Nintendo would be more transparent. But there are a lot of companies that are transparent. There's a great series on YouTube about devs reacting to speedruns, and they often say, we left that in. We left that in because we see how big the community is and how fun it is. And I just wish that all of them would do that. As long as the game is not breaking it for casual players, it's totally fine to leave the hard stuff in, because the hard stuff, that's what we want to break and speedrun it.
Yeah, especially some developers are in contact with the communities and talking about, like, should we patch this? How can we even increase or even improve the quality of life of speedrunning?
And to add to all of that, don't force speedrunning into your game or into a game, because when you force something which isn't meant to be in the game, then it will be not good in the game. But for me, a good speedrunning game is a game which is fast, which is fluent in the gameplay, and not that it feels clunky or something. So, yeah.
We can also see it with a very recent game like Only Up. They actively put stuff in for speedrunners to make it easier for speedrunners. And some speedrunners were complaining that they are too easy. They're making it too easy for us, and they're changing it like every minute. So maybe they're overdoing it a little bit, but it's nice to see them caring, I guess.
I mean, if it's too easy, you can just do a dragon skip, and then you will never save it again.
I mean, it's a risk-reward thing. Alternative routes and going another way, maybe save a little bit of time for a more risk approach.
Wait, there are even more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your question?
I would like to ask if there's any. You talked about what's it called, glitching. How do you start like seeing glitches in the game you're like trying to speedrun?
That depends on the game. Like for Wizard and Warriors, you get when you play a game a lot, you get a feeling for the movement set, for the inputs, for the reaction of the character to your inputs. And you register, like, you recognize some patterns in reacting. Like, when you get hit, you get a bounce back, like about 15 frames or something, so 15 pixels. So, because I press forward. So what happens if I press backwards right before I get hit? Oh, I get kicked in the other direction. And I get invincibility frames, so I can't get hit again. So maybe I can skip a wall. So that's the very, very basic. But if you play a game more and more and more, you can do crazy stuff, like beating Ganon with a stick. And or you just start very, very simple, like using iframes or invincibility frames, like getting hit on purpose and skip certain part of the level which are not meant to be skipped in the normal route you play. And yeah, it's more or less feeling of the character and of the game by just experience and very, 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 I wouldn't say that, but wasted time in the game.
Yeah, often it's just being in a room for 24 hours and just trying to get out of it. Like they're actually spending days in a room because they know they can somehow glitch through that door, and they just try everything there is. It's just grinding.
Well, I mean, you can do all of these try-hard things, but you can also be like me, where when I started running Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I just took a glass of Pepsi, wanted to drink it, some enemy kicked me in a hole, and that's how I discovered death dropping in the game.
Yeah, a lot of
and now you can like skip 20% of the levels.
Yeah, just them. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you.
Next question, please.
Do you feel like there are any differences between smaller communities and popular games? Like in the vibe of the community?
Nah, I would say it depends on the community itself. It depends on the individual in the community. If you want to take part in the community or just want to run your game on your own. So it's all depending on yourself and the rest of the community. Like my community in this game is about maybe 10 people in a whole, but we stay in contact. We have our own Discord server. You can join if you want to. And as you see, I make advertisement for this game nobody knows about. But this is my way to work with it. So if you more or less are the silent type of person, you just introvert and you just don't want to keep in touch with people, that's totally fine. You can just watch streams and be in the chat and maybe share your view or opinions or tricks or techniques in that stream. Or you start getting into a Discord of that particular game or of that streamer and get in touch with others. So you can't say it is always this way or always that way. Bigger communities are always better than smaller communities. It depends on the community and on the persons in that community.
I feel like, in general, speedrunning is a little bit of niche. It's like it's always a little small community everywhere you're looking around. And I think most people are enjoying new faces. So everyone is really nice, friendly, and try to get you into the game. So just, I think this matters for any community. However, how small or big it might appear, I never found anybody like, oh, this is my game, so please go ahead. So this is like a best approach of coming into the speedrunning.
Mm-hmm. I think we have time for one more question as well.
Yeah, my question is, to what extent do you think it's possible to casually speedrun? Because I noticed for myself that it's a bit of a time sink, and even randomizer racers, for instance with the Link to the Past randomizers, whenever I get back and I want to join a race, I find that there's so many minor glitches that I'm just at such a disadvantage that like, yeah, it's a bit difficult to do after work. Would you agree with this, or do you think there's more space for casual speedrunning?
I mean, starting, like you said, with randomizer, the first one was like 5 hours, way too long, but you have a great learning curve. So it was down to 2 hours, 2.5 average. Currently, it's like around 90 minutes. So you learn those step by step. It's like, oh, the easier glitch, I just look around other streams and, oh, this looks easy, and you're going into this learning step by step the difficult things. Randomizer is a perfect example for the casual speedrunning. I even played Celeste a little bit like, oh, I want to play this again. I'm not really speedrunning this, but I just got my average time down until the point where I feel like comfortable with.
Yeah, it's also completely normal to just get a different mindset after like a few years or a few months. Like sometimes you can grind like for multiple months a single category or a single one, but like at some point, even then, burnout will reach you, and when you want to do anything else, and just maybe lose interest in speedrunning, and we wouldn't like that. So.
Maybe to finish this off, if you like the game, then it doesn't matter if it's like 2 hours or 4 hours. As long as you like it, you're going to improve in this. So this is the main aspect you have to recognize and remember.
And your goal doesn't have to be to beat the world record. It's just, I consider myself a casual speedrunner. I just give myself a certain time that I can think I can reach, and then I'm happy if I reach it. And the world record is way too
going for faster goals. Yeah. Most games have faster goals.
That's why I like challenge running. It's every time it's different.
And maybe just for everybody, don't compare to others. Mm-hmm. It may depress you. Just don't do it. Especially when you begin speedrunning. You always see the popular videos on YouTube with the world records and the streams of the very famous speedrunners, which are already very good at the game. So that might be demotivating at the beginning because it looks so easy, but not when you play the game. So start easy. Make small steps.
Yeah, like especially all of these Super Mario 64 speedrunners have like years, or some even have 10 years of experience in that game. It's like very, I mean, you can put 10 more years into that game, but like those people will then have 20 years, so like you will probably never catch up on, unfortunately.
I mean, you can,
but I mean,
it would be like it depends.
You like have to cancel your job, basically do nothing else anymore. But then you can do it, yeah.
It depends on the game. If one normal run or even the world record is 2 hours, then it maybe is too long for casual gameplay when you have a full-time job and you can only play at the weekends. But if it's a game which is 30 minutes, 40 minutes, so you can make 1 or 2 runs in the evening just to calm down after work, perfect, just do it.
They're really,
Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Ironically, being
just
a
come up
speedrunning
to
panel.
us and ask us stuff.
Yeah.
If you have questions that you'd like to follow up with the panelists afterwards, maybe you can grab them. But thank you so much, everybody. If I could just get a round of applause for the panelists today for sharing their story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you all very much. I really appreciate it.
Follow all these people. They are very great.
Yes, follow all of these people. They're all doing speedrunning and challenge running, and probably would be very happy to answer your questions. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.